with a sickness. This is a war on tradition.
What do you think of that? Have you heard this track yet? This is the anthem of the time. This is the anthem of our era. Tell me if you've heard this song yet. I'm about to play it. Tell me if you've heard it yet. It's the new national anthem for forever, really. Let's see if we can get this playing here. Tell me if you've heard this one yet.
This is a war on religion. This is a war on the children. They give you the cure with the sickness. This is a war on tradition. This is a war on religion.
So good. So good. I probably listened to that 100 times. At least 100 times. Tell me if you've heard that one yet. This is a war. So good. Probably 100 times. That is one of the most powerful songs I've heard. It's High Res and Jimmy Levy. This is a war. You can get it on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube. It's just the anthem of the nation. So much. The song is so powerful, not just because it's political, because I don't think it's political, and then again, I don't have a problem with politicized art, right? I've always thought it's kind of funny that it's kind of funny that people go, I hate political music. Some of the greatest music came during the Vietnam War era. Fortunate Son, right? Jimi Hendrix, All About the Watchtower, Bob Dylan singing about Reuben Hurricane Carter. I've always thought it's sort of strange when conservatives say, "Oh, I hate political. They're politicizing music now." No, they're politicizing music now. What are you talking about? Music has been political probably forever. Probably forever, really, but certainly for a long time, right? So people go, oh, I hate So do you like Fortunate Son? I can't play that obviously because I get copyright bots will go after me or whatever. But when people say I don't like politicized music, do you know music? All the best music is political. So I've noticed that a lot of people who were shut out, who had ejected talent, right? There's a lot of stuff that people do that's a little cringy, and you think, I call it the Christian rock thing. I love Christians, don't get me wrong. I love Christians. I'm the most pro-Christian person you're going to meet. But I do get annoyed when people are like, well, and then you start asking me questions. Just worry about your own walk with God, right? As I notice that a lot, especially on my Instagram, I post a lot of Orthodox Christian memes. And then people go, what's your relationship with Jesus Christ? What's your relationship with minding your own business, right? Right? So I've noticed a lot of that, and I can see why Christianity gets a bad reputation. Clearly, I'm pro-Christian. And you can't just accept that I'm spreading positive spiritual messages Christian-based. You have to get up in my grill, right? Why are you up in my grill? I'm not up in your grill. So that's what's so annoying. That's why I block people. Or I'll say, what's your favorite book? And they're like, the Bible. It's like, dude, you haven't read the Bible. And I go over to your page, and it's all sports shit. And MAGA boomer dumb stuff. Oh, my favorite book's the Bible. Okay, how many times have you read the Bible cover? I've read a lot. Have you read Ezekiel? I doubt it. Because if you read Ezekiel, if you've read Moses and the burning bush, if you read some of the stories of the Bible, you might have a different understanding of true spirit and true religion. We'll just put it that way. So I'm pro-Christian, but a lot of the Christian music, you can tell the people, they want to be famous, but they just didn't have that it factor, right? They weren't kept out of the industry. They just didn't have that it factor. And all they really care about is fame and glorifying themselves. It's not really about glorifying God. But some music that's political like this, This guy has pipes. Let's listen to it. Right? Let's listen to this.
This is a war on religion. This is a war on the children. They give you the cure with the sickness. This is a war on tradition. This is a war on religion.
Okay, that's real talent. That's real talent. That isn't someone who thinks, well, I never could have made it. In the music industry, I never could have done it, so I'll just sing songs about God and love and about the war on children, the war on religion. That's just objective talent, right? There's so much of that. And that's why we're entering a new epoch. And it's why people say, why are you optimistic, Cernovich? Right? It's weird. I'm this perennial optimist. Adam Scrabble, if he's watching, Adam Townsend, I guess is his real name, but we just call him Adam Scrabble. And he's a perma bull, right? Don't ever short the U.S. Don't short the U.S. ever. Don't short the market. The market. Buy the market. Always buy the market. I've told people that for years. People always buy the market. Buy the market. How's that looking? How's that looking? All these doomers and blah blah. The market's going to hit zero. How those returns, right? How those realized returns looking? I'm a perma bear, not bear, perma bull. Why do you call them bear and bull too? I always get confused by. I'm a perma bull. I'm a perennial optimist. I'm a perma bull about the stock market. Why? Because if the stock market goes to zero, there's no world anyway, right? It's one of those weird things where, like, you think you're clever, but you're not really clever. So people go, oh, well, the market's going to totally... Well, yeah, the market, it's called business cycles, and there's corrections and everything. But if the market really went to zero, you're not going to be trading with people with gold and silver, right? We're going to be vassals of China or vassals of cartels. You going to go? You leaving now? All right, give me 5. I'll be out there. That's why what's that? Okay, I'll be right out. I'm a perma bull on love. I'm a perma bull on culture, and I'll tell you why. Because you're already seeing it. You're getting music like this because people have been shut out, but you have to shut out enough people to hit a critical mass of people to be shut out, right? That's the weird irony of this, is if you're going to rule as the elite and you're the regime, let's say I were giving advice to the regime, I would say, look, you can really put the screws to like 5 or 10% of the people, and they really don't have any recourse. There's not really much they can do. You can really put the screws to, 5, 10% of the people. As you approach 20%, there's too many now. Now you have now you have a full-on community of oppressed people. Now you got problems. So what the regime did is they won, right? Won, you can, define one however you want. I view winning as ultimately who is sitting on the Game of Thrones, who is sitting on the Iron Throne to be like a liberal who talks about Harry Potter because they read Harry Potter and then they now all watch Game of Thrones, and that's the way people see politics now, and whatever, I can go with the metaphors people use. Winning is who is sitting on the throne. It doesn't matter if Jon Snow stabbed Daenerys and then now there's some council and now Bran is the guy. Doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter how it's done in terms of the way I use my words. It's just you won or you didn't. You have the crown or you didn't. You have the throne or you didn't. Go watch The Wire. Whatever you want to talk about. So the regime, they won. But to maintain that stranglehold on people, you can't oppress 20% of the population. Right? Because then you have now new cultural ground because it's just necessity. So now you're getting real art that you deserve. That you as a Christian, or you as a pro-Christian, or you as, I love Muslims, I love Jews, I love the Amish, I love Hindus, I get along well with all religions. One guy said I believed in theosophy. I'd never heard that term before. There was a guy who said, he's a hardcore Catholic, I think, and he said, oh no, you're spreading theosophy Poly or something. I can't spell the word. Barely say it to you. But it's Theosolopoly, something like that. And the idea is I believe that all the religions in your faith tradition that you're genetically wired for is the true faith tradition, right? So that's what I believe. I believe if you're born in a Christian country, you're probably supposed to follow Christian practice and just follow it, and then that'll get you to the next level of spiritual consciousness, right? And that's also how you solve the riddle of, well, if hell's real, then why would a just God condemn people who had a different faith tradition before Jesus came, right? Because that's the big paradox of religion, or you would say, well, if Jesus is the way, the truth, the light, and he's the only way, and anyone who doesn't accept Jesus goes to hell, well, then what do you do with the people who came before Jesus? There's a lot of people. Are they all in hell now, right? Does that make any kind of sense? That doesn't make a lot of sense, right? And the way through that needle is, do you follow a faith tradition based on usually your nation that you came from, right? So I think that if you're born in Saudi Arabia, people get mad. They think they're owning me. They're like, oh, you said nice things about Muslims. And it's just like, you hateful bigot. Like, you really think that's an own on me? That I said I have respect for Islam? You think, oh, you're owning me? So first of all, I'm so controversial anyway that it's just a dumb thing. Like, oh, so you're always, controversy is funny because you're always controversy is always in groups, right? So I'm very controversial to the left. Oh, pizza, whatever they want to say. And then I'm controversial with some parts of the right because of my respect for all the great religious traditions, including Islam. And then they try to attack me with it. Oh, look, Cernovich likes Muslims. And then they think they're like, I don't know, scoring points on me or something. It's like, called an own goal. It's called an own goal, right? You're scoring points on yourself. It's like Rockfin has way better resolution than YouTube. Mike Boland's here. We have a cigar night, thecigarnight.com. If you're watching anywhere but Rockfin, go to rockfin.com, rokfin.com/Cernovich. rokfin.com/Cernovich. I gotta get going. Gonna go do some finger painting with my kids. Before I go, I just want to talk a little bit about scoring an own goal. So people attack me and say, oh, you said you respect Muslims, therefore you're a bad person. It's like, you look bad, right? It's like this Lincoln Project Democrat, McAfee, or I don't know how you say it, the Virginia Democrats, with that whole Tiki Gate hoax they did today. It's like you say things that you think own someone else, but it's a self-own. You scored a pointing at yourself. You scored a goal. It's just kind of dumb. And that's mostly what I deal with in my life. It's just generally stupidity. People being dumb and attacking me for dumb reasons or dishonest reasons. But culture, we're in a cultural renaissance because the regime has persecuted so many people. And they're still persecuting. So Ice Cube isn't... I can't say the word because then you get flagged by all the algorithms, but go look up with the Ice Cube story, right? Go look at the Ice Cube story that hit today. Go look at Jonathan Isaac and what he's about today, right? So they've gone too far because now you're creating a critical mass of people, and that's what creates culture. What am I smoking? I'm smoking Diplomatico Habanos. It's quite good. So what you're doing now is you've lost Ice Cube, you've lost Jonathan Isaac, you've lost Kyle Irving, and it's not like Kyle Irving's conservative now, or not like I'm conservative now, but you've created... Okay, I'll be right out. Love you, babe. So now you've created too much of a subculture. The subculture gets too big, and then the subculture becomes what's interesting, the culture takes over. So that's where right now people go, why you say it's getting worse, and yet you're optimistic. Well, of course it's getting worse. I'm getting older. You're getting older every day. Of course it's getting worse. You're the youngest you'll ever be today, mofos. I'm 44. Do the math. I'm 44. Do the math. But I'm still optimistic about the future. So that's like saying, well, how can you be optimistic about the future? You've lived up half of your life cycle. And your peak athletic years were, 28 to 34. You're past your peak athleticism. And by the time you hit your mid-50s, your verbal acuity will go down a little bit. So it's like I'm in my peak verbal years. This is all true, by the way. Adam and other older guys here can tell you that. So you get more verbally because you have crystallized wisdom. I'm doing my best work intellectually, spiritually, verbally at 44, even though my brain's not as fast as it was at 28, right? But I know that when I hit my 50s, verbally you start to slow down a little bit. You lose a step a little bit here and there. You got to take measures against that. But then you move on to other aspects of life. It's about stages of life. So the world can be getting worse and also better because you have to get off the timeline of man and get on the timeline of God. Here's what I mean. You have to get off the timeline of man and get on the timeline of God. Now, I don't do this perfectly. Here's what it means. So if I were purely on the timeline of God, then I would be a religious, probably ascetic. I wouldn't smoke cigars at all. I would just drink water, eat water, or drink water and eat bread, be celibate. I wouldn't enjoy anything that life had to offer because the idea would be all of our rewards are spiritual, our rewards are coming at the end, right? So if you were totally on God's timeline, then whatever happened here, if somebody came to kill me, then I would just say, well, I'm on God's timeline, right? What's it matter? Okay. So we have to get more on the timeline of God. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy this world or shouldn't enjoy this world, or we don't have work to do in this world, because our souls were put in this body for a reason. But it does mean that, yeah, shit's going to get bad, man. Shit's bad for a lot of people. It's going to get worse for a lot of people. It's going to get worse for the country. Empires rise and fall. We might be on the decline. If you're on the timeline of man, you only see the immediate transitory hedonic issue. What pleasure do you have, right, in this very second? And then you're chasing pleasure because you're on man's timeline. So if you're on man's timeline, you become a hedonistic drug addict and you die because you're always chasing opioids. You're always chasing the dragon of hedonic pleasure. You don't have any spiritual depth. If you're totally on God's timeline, then you wouldn't even be able to live in your body hardly. So I like to say we walk between two worlds, right? We want to be on God's timeline, but we're on a human timeline too. So when things look a little bad, hey, God's timeline. Let's look a little beyond the transient pain. Let's look a little bit beyond a year. Let's start looking in terms of 100 years, 1,000 years, 100,000 years, infinity. Let's think a little bit more about what it's like to live on God's timeline. And again, I'm not saying that I'm not a monk, obviously. I'm not a monk, obviously. But there are more people now who are realizing it's worth taking a stand morally, because even though you're going to suffer a little bit here in our earthly realm, we got to look a little bit beyond that, right? We got to look at God's timeline as well. All right, my daughters are calling duty calls. If you're watching anywhere but Rockfin, go to rockfin.com, ROKFIN.com /Cernovich, rockfin.com /Cernovich. Sign up there. You can sign up for free. And if you want to get the full back catalog, masterclass, all that stuff, then just join the site and you can get a bunch of other stuff too. rockfin.com /Cernovich.